asking a lot of questions, making sure it was the right thing for OIT. And by the time we finished, it was late in the afternoon, and we're like, wow, where did all the time go? But on the way back, I brought her back to OIT, and that's when things started to happen. We started putting things in motion, and fortunately, everything went pretty smoothly. Not that everything's smooth, but it went pretty smooth. During the whole process, ran into a few speed bumps, detours, roundabouts where I was wondering where in the hell are we going with this? You know, we just kept kind of going around and around and trying to get all the paperwork consolidated where it was not only beneficial for OIT, but also for John and Lois. Because actually, there's tax implications if it isn't done right. And if you don't do it right, then you get burned. And I don't like to get burned. But thanks to Dee, that never happened. Well, as we're working along, then we ran into another problem. You know, the title company. It's like AmeriTitle is just swamped. And, you know, as Dr. Nagy had mentioned, Christy and Lois actually interviewed Dr. Nagy. So we had a pretty good in there with Christy, except for one thing. She didn't work for AmeriTitle anymore. And I'm like, wow, now what do we do? But Christy, like the woman she is, the professional she is, knowing what was going to happen with this farm and the community and everything, she stepped up to the plate and was able to hand carry the paperwork through AmeriTitle. And much to our surprise, Lois's and mine, we closed on March the 13th. One week before she passed. And without Christy, it wouldn't have happened. Now let's get back to the good things. Well, on July the 2nd, you know, after a couple months had passed and, you know, I'd cleared my head, I made an appointment with Brian Fox. I'd met Brian at a couple foundation meetings, and we'd talked a bit, but I didn't know Brian, and I know he didn't know me, and probably after he met me, he probably wondered, why in the hell am I allowing him in my office? But anyway, we talked for a bit, and you know, we were very comfortable sharing information, and you know, I didn't tell him what I had in mind. I didn't think that it was appropriate to, you know, I wanted to see what the university, any projects that was going to involve the student athlete. Well, he told me they had 3 projects that they would like, you know, some funding for, and one of them happened to be additional renovation for the soccer field. And I thought about that for a bit. And then he said the second thing is right down the field here, the old football field and track. They were wanting to put in a new track and renovate some of the stadium. And I'm thinking, well, that's good too, but that's not really my main interest. And finally he goes, and we're looking at the softball complex. And I went, that's good too. You know, all 3 are good projects. And truly, any one of the 3, I would have felt, Lois and I would have felt good about donating to upgrade those facilities. Because no matter where you donate the money with the student athlete, you're pleased with the results that you see with the students, the interaction with the faculty. You talk to the students, they talk so highly of the faculty. They're so impressed with OIT. But the bottom line is, I didn't say, oh, I'd like the softball field. I thanked Brian for his time, and I left. And probably even the same day, I don't know for sure, but I called my old buddy Paul Poach. Paul is a guy that I've known for probably 35, 40 years, and he's worked in the county here forever. And I knew that he had a lot of contacts throughout the state. And I first shared with him the thought of just doing the field for the softball complex. And he's done this before with Field Turf, the company that we're using. And so I don't know, it was a week later, 10 days later, but the next thing I know, we're talking, and he brought back a number for the field, and I thought that, was something within the budget that we could do, and, the kids would be happy, because the field out here is, if you go out and walk in the grassy area, it's an obstacle course. There's probably 5 or 6 different types of grasses. There's weeds, there's gopher holes. Every game, before the game, all the coaches are out here. The team is out here getting this field ready just to play on. And it's true with practice, games, and then after the game, in between the first game and the second one, then they have to do the same thing again. Well, this is going to eliminate this. They will never have to drag this field again. All the lines are in, everything is permanent. So anyway, after talking with Paul, I decided to go back to Brian. And, I don't have anything to do with OIT as far as officially, and, we kind of have to have their seal of approval on anything. So when I'm talking to Brian, I saw some interest there. And the more I thought about it, and I just started looking at this whole facility here, and like we were talking about earlier, the outhouse, or the outhouses, when there's games here, you have 3 or 4 of them over there. If we had a concession stand, we could do a lot more as far as drawing people to the games. So the bottom line, we decided to put that into the project. And then we started looking at the bullpens, and before every game, the kids are out there working the bullpen so they can practice warming up and everything. So we ended up putting that in there. So then we look at the stadium, and it's like, wow, the press box is right in our way. Nobody can see through this press box. They got the best seat in the house, and all the fans are scattered out all over the place. So we put a stadium in, and we'll put that press box up the hill and get them the hell out of our way so we can watch the game, which is going to be really nice. One thing that I was taught when I was growing up, when you do something, you always do it right the first time. Then you will never regret what you've done when you do it right. And after thinking about all this, we got everything put together, had a meeting with Brian, talked with Dr. Nagy, and the end result is going to be wonderful. It's going to be something that not only the university is going to be proud of, but the student athletes. They can bring clinics in here, more kids will come in here, be able to recruit more kids, better kids. Not the kids now aren't good, because they're all good. There's not a kid on the team that I wouldn't take home with me. They're all super. Well, there's a little thing here that it really convinced me to do what we're doing, because Paul and Fritz and I went down to Cabo in April. And one day we're out walking the beach, probably after having a couple drinks, and we're walking along, and there's this nice 40, 50, 60-foot yacht goes by, and I looked at that and I said, "Man, Paul, that thing is beautiful." And he's going, "Oh yeah, that's nice." And I said, I could probably buy that thing. And he goes, "Yeah, that'd be really good. Then we could be cruising along." And I said, "Well, Paul, what makes better sense? Me buying that boat or putting this money towards the ballpark which is going to affect all the kids, their families, the university. And you know what, Paul? I like the kids a hell of a lot better than you, so you're without a vote. He'll probably hit me later, but that's all right. I know I can outrun him. Greg mentioned about the assistant coaches, and I'll tell you, without the assistant coaches and all the team members, every game, things wouldn't run as smoothly as they do. And you know, being an assistant coach, like Greg is saying, he gets most of the attention, but I'll tell you, they work their little tails off. And like Bill, he's not a young kid, and you know, he's gone through a lot of physical problems, but he's still out here, and he's still doing his job. He doesn't complain about anything. And I really thank the three of them. Now, this is unprepared, so I have to, I want to thank all of you for joining us in this celebration, and we look forward to seeing you again this fall when we host an official public dedication of ceremony of the John and Lois Softball Stadium. I would be honored for the following supporters and representatives to each grab a shovel, join me to officially breaking ground on this renovation. It's Dr. Nagy, Dee Thompson, Brian Fox, John Van Dyke, Tracy Ricketts, and Tom Dara. You're included in this too? Oh, the softball coach. I guess he should be up there. And probably the most important person here today is Allie Graham. A lot of people don't know Allie like I do, because Allie's special. When she plays her heart out every game. She's not a complainer. You know, this year, she had a different role in the softball team. And she's a team player. She was taken from first base and was used as a DH. Pitched a few innings, but she's also a pitcher. But for the betterment of the team, she took that new role, and at least I never heard her complaining. And the bottom line is, she still made honorable mention nationally. And that's pretty amazing when you're not a full-time player. But I call her Alley Cat because she's tougher than hell, and she has a swing that's like silk. And she can hit that ball over the fence, just, it's not cranking on it, but she just moves so smoothly. So I think it's time now to grab a shovel. And I want to see Dr. Nagy, not in the soft part, but in the hard part. Break some ground.
This is awesome. They really work this up. They do.